First, we're gonna look at how do we understand our credit score. If you don't have any, how do you build it? And if life happens and there were some mistakes on there, how do you repair it from there? So first thing is, why is it so important to us? There's gonna be once in your life that you need a loan, whether it's for a vehicle, whether it's for a house, and it can be a difference whether you're paying $30,000 in interest or $5,000 in interest. So I'm gonna kind of go over a few tips and tricks and ways that we can help you with that as well. So I don't know who has the handout, but if you go on the second page, I kind of want to explain a little bit what credit report is. So you may not think about them every day, but your credit report are just 3 digits that can influence your life in many ways. They can affect how you get credit. They can affect how you buy something. They can affect even how sometimes you get a job. So there are 3 credit bureaus. There's Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. So these credit bureaus will receive data on you monthly. And sometimes, not all of them get the same info. That's why when you're applying for a mortgage, they need to have all 3 of them. That way they have the full financial picture. Your credit is divided into 4 sections. First is your personal identification, so date of birth, social, any other names that you were known as. Your trade lines, that means the loans that you've had. Have you had an auto loan? Have you had a credit card? Public record, so public record is when something goes in your credit report, when something gets repossessed, when you have a tax lien, when there is a time where you got to get a phone shut off. And that can be on there as well. And that's something that we can help you with. So on page 3, we look at what makes up your credit score. So I always like to think of it as a class. You have your homework that's worth so much. Then you have your tests that are worth so much more. So the very first thing is your payment history. If you're making on-time payments, that is what makes 35% of your credit score. So it's really important that you're making your payments on time, on the due date, or before the due date. Amounts owed is 30% of what makes your credit score. We're gonna go into a little bit more details of that. I think that's the one that people get confused of the most. 15% is how long have you had it? Have you had this credit card for 6 months or 6 years? Then you have your credit mix. Your mix, it could be mortgages, autos, and then your revolving credit, and plus your new credit. So when you have no credit, where do you go from there? So I kind of did some like rules of thumb of how you should have. So when you have no credit, how much debt is okay? So you want to have no more than 15% of your take-home income to be committed to unsecured debt. So unsecured debt is like your signature loans, your credit cards. You should never have more than 50% of what you take home. That's kind of the guideline there. Your housing, how much, if I make a certain amount, can I afford a $500,000 house? Yes and no. So you kind of spend no more than 35% of what your take home is. So you get how much your paycheck is, and 35% of what it is in the year, that's what your budget should be at. That way you're not living beyond those means. Biggest thing too is your savings. You should be saving at least 10% of your take-home income. You have to make sure that you have 3 to 6 months of income, because we never know what happens. With everything that happened with the pandemic, people were off of work. They didn't know how to make payments. Fortunately, there was a lot of great programs, but you didn't have to do that if you had the safety net. And that way too, you're not focusing on credit cards to be that way. And then your other expenses, so 25%, that's where you get, like, you go to the movies, let's go to concerts, let's go out to eat. So that's going to be like your fun money, and that's how you really allocate it. So that's just kind of a little breakdown of how we start our budgeting and how you should start if you don't have any credit yet. So how do you build your credit? So you got your guidelines, you're kind of ready to rock and roll. So like I said, payment history is one of the most important things that make up your credit score. If you miss a payment, it will show on your credit report for up to 7 years. And multiple missed payments can make it sometimes impossible to achieve that excellent credit score. So for this reason, you should always try to make your payments on time. If you don't have anything, look into getting a credit builder loan. So what is a credit builder loan? Exactly what it sounds like. Its sole purpose is to help build credit. So at the credit union, we do something what we call a shared secured loan. So let's say Miss Sully wants to come in, she wants to start building her credit. I will give her a $2,500 loan, but instead of giving her the money, I put the money into a savings account that she cannot access until the loan is paid off. So what does that do for her? It gives her on-time payments. It also gives her a relationship with the credit union. It starts her pattern. Okay, she's making these payments, she's doing a good job, and at the end of it, she has $2,500 in savings. So that can be the start of her safety net to get her where she needs to be. So that's kind of one of the biggest things that we do when people are starting out. And then it helps us make them a better financial pattern that way. And then the next thing is that credit, the 30% of how you're using it. So the key thing here is to get your revolving loans. Your revolving loans are gonna be like your credit cards. When a credit bureau will look at it like, how much can she be using and how much is she actually using? So if you have your credit cards maxed out, that is really gonna bring down your credit score because then you're using as much as you can. Now, if you have a $1,000 credit card and you're paying it off every month, it kind of shows them, hey, they can use it, but they're very disciplined with it. So if you're using under 30% of what your limit is, that really helps increase your score. That is what the amounts owed at 30% is. And that's where a lot of people get confused. They think if as long as they're making their payments, they're on time. But in reality, when it's maxed out, it can hurt you tremendously. Think about for each percent that you're using is 1 point off your credit score. So if you have it maxed out, it can be quite a bit. And it can get you from a 10% mortgage to a 4% mortgage. Once you have that established, it's pretty great. A lot of people, when they don't have credit yet, it's really hard for them to get a credit card. So something we do here at the credit union is anytime you have a checking account, we'll give you an overdraft protection line of credit. That line of credit will give you the same amount of positive creditness to your credit bill, just like a credit card would. So what I always tell my members is if you ever need to use your overdraft line of credit, which happens, because there's be times kids go to the hospital or they just need an extra thing, or just sometimes they spend a little too much. The important thing is you pay it off every month. You should never use more than that. And that will still give you the same credit on your credit profile than a credit card would. So that's a great start with it. And if I see that you're doing a good job with that, then it'll be easy to get you a credit card at 5-6 months later. That's a good way to start. Like I say, with shared secured loans, overdraft protection, then we always start with those smart credit cards. So now when you have that in place, you don't want to go too crazy with it. So you want to limit your new credit applications. Anytime that you apply for something, you get hit with a hard inquiry. And then when you have too many, it makes it look like you're a little desperate to find this borrowed money. So you really want to limit it because it can hurt you up to 5 points for each inquiry that you have. At the credit union, we will start with your budget. We will kind of monitor you. And then we always do check-ins like every 3 to 6 months to see how you're doing and how we can help you with that. Now, my favorite part is our repairing credit. I know there's been times where my son's been to the hospital, got this massive bill, turned into a collection. What do I do now? I didn't want him to get sick. It just kind of happened. And now it's on my credit report for 7 years. So what do? There's been a lot of times people have come to me with this, and we've really found a lot of ways to kind of help people around it. So you'll see there's all these companies like pay $2,000 and we're going to repair your credit. Everything that they do, you can actually do with us. So first thing that if you had a collection and you did pay it off, we can help you write what we call a goodwill letter so they can delete the negative history that you had because you did pay it off. We'll help you write it, how it should be structured, and what exactly you need to say with it. So if you did find an error, we can also do a dispute with the credit bureaus. At the very end of the packet, I put a lot of information of the 3 credit bureaus and help you go through that process. But if any little error that you have on there, you can get it taken off. So if it's negatively impacting your score, let's get it removed and we can get it higher there. A lot of people do what we call a validation of debt. Let's say it's been 5 years since something happened and you're not too sure what it is. You can ask them, hey, can you give me the original paperwork, the original contract? If they don't have it, legally they have to take it off your credit report. And that's something a lot of people don't know. During tax time, I get a lot of people that come in because we do what we call a negotiate for pay on delete. Some companies, some collection companies don't do this, but most do. So a lot of times we'll have people go from the clinic, they get a collection, it goes somewhere. If you owed $2,000, I would help you call them and be like, hey, we'll pay you $1,800, but I'll pay you the full amount if you take it off my credit report. I have seen people's credit score jump up to 60 points in one day because we were able to do that. Just because you got a collection doesn't mean you're stuck with it. Let me help you make it right, and let me help you build it back up. You want a written agreement on it, because sometimes they get a little tricky and they don't want to take it off, but then you have your paperwork showing that you did pay it for them to remove it. So there's a lot of things that could be a debt collection. It can be a medical bill. It can be a cell phone bill. It can be a library card that you took a long time ago. The thing is, once it turns into a collection, it hurts you 50 to 70 points. Let's look at it together and what we can do to make it right. So once you get in the 700s and you're good on there, how do you maintain it? I always tell people, let's monitor your credit report. On our app, there is like a credit score where you can kind of do, it does a soft inquiry, so you can see where you're at and what you can do to make it better. Again, you did so much work to get it up there, so you want to make sure it stays there. A lot of times people will go into these companies that try to bamboozle you a little bit with, we'll give you 0% for 1 year, or hey, you'll get 50% off your purchase. So you just want to be a little bit careful when it comes to that. There's every store that you go into, I feel like they offer credit cards now. So you want to look at it. I have a few things that you want to be looking for is how long is those introductory APRs? What are you really getting for it, and do you really need it? Is this something that's going to benefit you in the long run? I also have some tips if you're unable to pay of what you need to do and how to kind of get there from there. And again, always go to your local financial advisor, and they should be able to help you with all that for free. You shouldn't have to go into a bank or a credit union just because you need money. Help them make your money work for you. You work so hard for it. That's one of the big keys of why we have that. So you want to use your credit as a goal achievement too, because having strong credit can standing new financial opportunities. It can be like buying a car, buying a house. It can cover unexpected. It can help you start a business. So we really want to try to help people maintain that credit and get there. So once you have that, you kind of want to be watching yourself. So I did put 10 warning signs that can let you know that you're getting a little too comfortable. When you only start paying the minimum on your credit cards, when you're charging more than when you can pay back the next, I feel like that's kind of the big one. Sometimes when you have the card, it doesn't feel like you're spending money. You're just swiping the plastic. That's fine, right? But if you're not able to pay it off the next month, probably spent a little bit more than what you should have. Having a total balance that does not decrease, being near a credit limit when you're getting it maxed out, or when you really need a consolidation loan, that's when I feel like it's a big red flag that you need to work on a budget at that point. Feeling stressed about your finances, nobody should have to go to not be able to sleep because of money. No, let us help you. There's resources for people. There's so many resources in the city of Hutch that helps our community. So the biggest thing is getting with the right people. And that's what we want to try to help you with. Does anybody have questions on anything? We don't do the secured credit cards, but like I said, we do those lines of credit, those overdraft line of credit that does the same as a secured credit card. We do secured loans. We don't look at just your credit score. We look at your relationship with the credit union. If you've had things for a long time, if you had a checking account, direct deposit, we're very likely to help you start building it with a small credit card. Okay, so Credit Karma is a great thing. So Credit Karma and FICO work on different algorithms. So where we talked about that 35%, that 30%, and everything that we just talked about, Credit Karma's is completely different, and they can change theirs up all the time. That's why they're not really a reliable source. I've seen differences of like 60 points. Like I said, we have on our app now, if you have an account with us, of where your credit score should be. That's a lot reliable. It's a better reliable source than what Credit Karma is. That's going to be, it's not a one size fits all.
Okay.
So when you can't make your payment, I say come in and talk to us. Depending on how your loan was structured, depending on how long you've been at the credit union, we can find different options that better fit for you. So it's going to be a case by case, because let's say you're in deep and it's been 6 months. At that point, you doing 25 is only going to be a Band-Aid to an issue that it's going to be reoccurring.
Okay.
At that point, I would want to look into something. Okay, we do what we call like a workout loan. See, I want to know what your action plan is. How did you get here and what's different now? And then from there, we can work with you of how to bring you back up to date. Maybe we put them all together. Maybe I have you do one or two. So it just kind of depends on case by case. And then, is this a one-time instance, or has this been something that's been coming back every year? So we can help you get out of those patterns. Okay, so what Amy said was even if you make a partial payment, it is still counts as late. Once your payment is 30 days past due, that is when we report it to the credit bureaus. I have that in here too. If I went through like every single thing, I think for like 2 hours, because I like talking about this. But one of the things that we do is We have a great online bill pay system. So with this bill pay system, and even internal, we can set up where it just automatically takes it out. So I'm gonna use myself as an example. I have my card note set up for every time I get paid. Instead of paying monthly, I pay it twice a month and I divide it that way. And that way, as soon as my paycheck hits, the money comes right out. Out of sight, out of mind. So we have those options for you if you want it. Some people like more control. I myself just wanted to come out as soon as I get paid and make sure my bills are paid for. Mm-hmm. Yeah, anytime you have a loan, you want to try and, or even if you know a utility bill, you want to try and set up automatic payments on your primary bank account. Correct. Yep. After you have your 3 to 6 months of a savings net, if you have over that, that's when we help you, make, like I said, make your money work for you. They can, so first you want to make sure that you're covered personal wise. I don't want you to be investing money if you don't have a safety net. Yes.
A bunch of bills.
Yep. So we want to make sure you're taking care of your first. If you go over that, we also have like a department that we call our wealth strategies. And what people don't understand is you don't need a lot of money to start doing that. Hey, you got $500, $1,000 you want to start doing, then we can start helping you. And we just give you the options of what we would do. And then you can decide if you want to do it or not. See, now we have a branch where we do what we call, it's like a life, like we give them a job, we give them an income, if they're married, if they had kids.
And you have a bank at the high school, right?
Yes, we do. Yep, and then we try and teach the kids how to budget, get their debit cards, how to use it properly as well. So a lot of the kids there like to do what we call change is good. So when it rounds up your transaction, it puts it in a savings for you. So to them, it's just a quarter here, 10 cents there, but it adds up every month. So if you look at it and it's like, wow, I didn't realize I had $100, $200 already. And $100, $2 might not seem a lot for us. For those kids, that's a really big deal.
So I've got a really tricky one for you. My husband and I we're not immune to bad credit. We're just kind of recovering from our bad credit situation. Mm-hmm. So somehow I got tagged on to this person's Lowe's card. Mm. And they have like a $20,000 limit. Okay. And they don't use a lot of it.
Okay.
So it really helps my credit.
Yep, you're getting
but
another.
It's not me.
Yes, it's called an authorized signer.
But I don't think it's anyone like hers.
It's not yours?
It's not mine.
Well, that is when we're going in and we need to do a dispute.
I know, but I think it's helping me right now.
Well, let's get you one. Let me get you one to replace it. Again, it's not.
I don't know, but they'll charge on it and they pay really well. So you sure it's not mine?
Have you tried calling them yet?
No, because it really helps my credit.
But okay, so again, it's not the amount, it's the percentage that they're using. It's the pattern of they're paying it off every month.
Yes, and they have a lot of available credit, and so it increases my available credit score.
Overall, yes. But that's when we can get you, but we can always call together to see where it's at.
I'm going to cut the cord, but I'm not quite yet. They are really helping me. They really
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So,
what happens when they
we'll just get you one.
I know, someday when they go on a bender at Lowe's and just someday I'll cut it off. But I need to do more investigating. I don't know if it's maybe an ex-boyfriend or what.
It's a really good ex-boyfriend then, yeah.
I know, they're very responsible.
But yes, I would just call first Lowe's to see who else is on the card, especially. Yes. And then if you decide to close it, we can get you. I don't know if I can get you. I can't promise you. But before you cut the cord, let me see how much I can do.
I think it'll be fine. Right now they're just building.
So what I do is, I'll meet with Sally. What's this? Alyssa. Close. Okay. So I kind of meet with you guys. We want you to start good financial patterns. Are you budgeting? I want this much of your paycheck in this savings. I want this much of your paycheck for your fund money. Help you allocate where your take-home money is at. Once I see that you're disciplining yourself and you're doing that, that's when I start giving you these lines of credit and credit cards. I trust a little more with it. But you're more inclined to give yourself those good payment history and using it the way you're supposed to if you build those patterns first. So that's where we kind of start. And then we meet up our financial literacy program. And it's usually a year long, and that usually does the trick for you guys. So we actually open some of their accounts when they're working with them and to match them. So you can always have them call us and we can always work together as a team. Yes, we do. Yep. So you can always just come in. Again, sometimes it's not just filling out an application. It's let's see where you're at. Let me ask you some questions. And then we have one of our real estate people where tell me what your goal is. And if we can't do it right now, let's make you a plan how to get there. That's where you want to be, that 35. That's where my little numbers come in is how much are you taking home? This is how much I can recommend for you. Correct. Yes, we do. But yes, come and see us. And then we can kind of work through options. They can give you some quotes of what it would look like with us. And then they'll also give you a breakdown of how much you actually will save if you do that. Yes and no. So when you're getting with mortgages, let's say you're rate shopping.
Right.
The credit bureaus, if you're doing it within a week, it actually only counts as one pull. It doesn't count as
so
three.
Like when you go to get a car loan and they're like,
Sometimes it's really just fun. Yeah. Now you don't want to do like 1 week here and then next month you do another one because that'll be different. But if it's like a 3-day span, they can see that you're shopping. The credit bureau knows that, and it won't hurt you. It won't be 15 points for 3 places. It'll just be about 5.
Glacia, I have a question for you that I don't know if it's a credit question or not.
Okay.
It's not a credit question.
Are you married?
So if I've got some money coming in every month to do something with, and I'm gonna either do one of 2 things with it, I'm either gonna invest it or I'm gonna pay off debt. What would be the smarter thing to do? Probably pay off debt, right?
It depends. That's gonna be so like I said, it's not one size fits all. So depending on how much money you're gonna bring in, we can get with one of our financial advisors in our wealth department, and we'll see how much we can give you because some rates are actually going pretty good with investing. We have low rates on our auto loan, so I think you have like a 2.99. Now, what if I can get you a 6% return on that money coming in? That's actually going to work more for you. So I want to know like how much you're bringing in, and then we'll give you a side by side of what it'll be. And again, I just want to give you options and you ultimately choose what's the best fit for you.
Thank you so much for
Yes.
that info.
Yeah.
It was so good.